Meanwhile, Wei Wuxian was nestled in a quiet little corner, seriously engrossed in a hefty tome. His long hair was hastily tied up behind him, with a red headband haphazardly tied at his temples. A few stray strands of hair fell along his graceful neckline, curling slightly at the ends and nestling in the hollow of his neck. The Lan family's clothing emphasized strict formality, layering and covering extensively to avoid unnecessary thoughts, which was said to aid in peaceful cultivation in ways that words couldn't convey. However, the meticulous efforts of the tailoring workshop did not resonate with Wei Wuxian. The more layers the attire had, the more he despised it, wearing each successive layer with increasing impatience. By the time he reached the outermost layer, it became merely a cloak, barely kept in place under his arms. Without it, his sleeves would flutter freely in the wind, causing his clothes to fall like a cascading stream on windy days, much to Lan Wangji's disapproval. Lan Wangji had to repeatedly pull up his clothing to prevent misunderstandings. That day, Wei Wuxian got up late, and the weather was somewhat warm. He dressed carelessly, with the folds of his collar loose and unruly, barely covering most of him, while a hint of his collarbone peeked out enticingly. To make matters worse, a small reddish bite mark lingered on his collarbone, more conspicuous now after a night of settling, marking his youthful skin with a teasing heat. He furrowed his long eyebrows slightly, his gaze focused on the book below, lightly biting his lip, revealing a glimpse of his fine white teeth. Rarely so engrossed, he was uncharacteristically quiet. The dawn light cast softly on his messy bangs, illuminating a calm serenity, akin to undisturbed dew in a grassy glade on a summer afternoon, or a fish swimming freely in that dew, at peace with the world. Lan Wangji sat on the other end of the green desk, looking up from his Buddhist scriptures to observe Wei Wuxian from a distance. A hint of unease surfaced in his heart. Discarding the paper with his written verse, he slowly approached Wei Wuxian, his eyes fixed on that small, conspicuous collarbone. He stared at it with a frown for a while, patiently moving closer a bit by bit. Wei Wuxian was holding the very book Lan Wangji had found for him in the library, the Grand Overview of Talismans. When he used to pester Lan Wangji, the book's contents seemed like indecipherable scribbles to him, causing him eye strain. But now, discovering something unique within, he was completely absorbed in the bizarre world of talismans, unable to tear his eyes away. Wei Wuxian was so engrossed that he didn't notice Lan Wangji coming up beside him. He just thought a cushion had been placed behind him and leaned back without turning his head, flipping a page in his book. It seemed that Lan Wangji was not happy. A subtle crease appeared at the corner of his mouth as he wondered what book could captivate Wei Wuxian's full attention. When he saw the title, his eyes turned cold with disdain. He pulled Wei Wuxian into his arms quietly, one hand resting on Wei Wuxian's slender waist, his nose tracing through Wei Wuxian's hair and his warm breath gently spraying behind his ear. Wei Wuxian was so absorbed that he felt a large mosquito buzzing around his neck. He raised a hand and, without thinking, swatted backward with a slap that landed on Lan Wangji's face. Wei Wuxian turned his head to see a cold, intimidating expression on Lan Wangji's face. "Lanjin, when did you get here? Does it hurt? Let me see." Before he could express concern for the slightly flushed face, suddenly colored for the first time, his vision blurred and a cool yet warm shadow pressed against his face. Two soft, moist lips covered his. When they pulled apart, Wei Wuxian smiled. "Lan Zhan, since you have free time, I want you—" His words were cut off abruptly. "Ah!" The Grand Overview of Talismans fell to the ground with a thud, and its owner was also pushed down. Fingers interlocked, palms pressed against the floor, their fingers intertwined. Lan Wangji's palm, like kneading dough, pressed against Wei Wuxian's head, causing his hair to spill like a waterfall and a soft sucking sound to fill the air. After a moment, their heavy breaths mingled as they took small gulps of air. Wei Wuxian's breath was shaken by the gentle but insistent poking of Lan Wangji's warm tongue. "Lan Zhan, I want—" Upon hearing this, Lan Wangji's lips, which were momentarily about to part, pressed back onto his. "No, I want to... want... want. Wei Wuxian's words were entirely broken into fragments, sounding like clear requests to Lan Wangji. Lan Wangji, ever attentive to Wei Wuxian's shameless and unrestrained desires, was always ready to comply without complaint. Each request was met with a generous response, leaving Wei Wuxian more than satisfied. Wei Wuxian was unsure who was consuming whom. After being eaten for a good while, he didn't dare make a sound, utterly spent. Finally, as they finished, Wei Wuxian's tongue trembled, gasping for breath. His lips were flushed, looking like a red plum, and Lan Wangji, still seemingly unsatisfied, leaned in to gently bite his slightly swollen lips. Wei Wuxian furrowed his brows, his face showing slight anger. His dark eyes brimmed with moisture, radiating a reproachful light. He swallowed his frustration for a long time before finally blurting out, "Lan Zhan, you shameless rogue, I just wanted you to peel an apple for me." Such a dangerous misunderstanding from half a sentence. Lan Wangji was momentarily stunned, his eyebrows subtly moving. He responded with a small but audible, There wasn't a hint of apology in his tone. "Hey, second young Master Lan, what's with you? What does your family training say? The forehead ribbon signifies restraint, upright conduct, and that a gentleman knows what to do and what not to do. And you haven't even... Wait, where's your forehead ribbon?" Both of their gazes followed the plain-colored ribbon now resting on Lan Wangji's shoulder. "When did it fall off? I distinctly saw you wearing it the whole time and never properly taking it off." Lan Wangji's brow barely moved. It fell off by itself. The air hung with an awkward silence for a moment. The two were frozen in a compromising position, with Wei Wuxian pinned below Lan Wangji. No matter how you looked at it, the situation seemed dire. Wei Wuxian blinked and shook his head, regaining a bit of his sanity, and struggled slightly against Lan Wangji's firm hold on his limbs. He wriggled his waist for a while, making no progress, eventually surrendering and lying back in resignation. Under Lan Wangji's unmoved and slightly amused gaze, he angrily said, "I want to eat an apple." Lan Wangji, "All right. You little old-fashioned, just make a move." Lan Wangji did not move deliberately, as if claiming the territory as his own and going on being a rogue. Hearing this, he only shifted his gaze, up and down, inside and out, as if contemplating the best way to proceed. Wei Wuxian was irritated for a moment, realizing that trying to reason with a rogue was pointless. He decided it was more practical to rely on himself, twisting his waist like a snake, attempting to find a sliver of escape. Unexpectedly, the precarious chance he had was entirely ruined by his own actions.